And there it is. The transfer window is shut. And I want to start this video by saying, please, can we shut the transfer window before the season starts from now on? I feel like we say this every year, and I think most coaches, I think a lot of players might agree as well, but in general, most of the footballing professional world think that the transfer window should shut before the first game starts. But let me know your thoughts. I would love to know. But of course, it's September 1st. Deadline day has been and gone, and we've got a lot of transfers to get through. First of all, I'm not going to include fees in this video. It's so difficult to track down official fees. So if you're interested in finding out exactly how much has been paid, whether it's loan fees or actual money up front and clauses, then you're going to have to go and find that out yourselves, because I could be here all night trying to find the correct answer. So I'm going to mention where they've gone, and if I have a rough idea, I'll let you know. But obviously, it's impossible to really know these days. Also, I'm bound to miss a couple as well. I've only been home for about an hour, and I missed most of the craziness today. So I'm going to cover some of the main ones and some of the not so maybe big ones. But of course, we're going to start off with my beloved Arsenal. Hincapié has been announced. I think this deal was done maybe 2 days ago, maybe yesterday, but it's been officially announced on deadline day. He's taking the new number 5 shirt. This is a loan with an option to buy next season. So this will go through in our PSR records next season. I mean, we've spent a lot and we haven't made a lot back this transfer window. Of course, we've sold a couple of players today. We'll go through that in a minute, but in general, it feels like we've signed players and spent a lot of money, and we haven't been able to recoup some of that. We're so bad at selling players, but it's great that this particular move is going to go through our books next season. But I'm really excited about Hincapié. Weirdly enough, he's a player that I've signed for Arsenal in my career modes twice before. I love this guy as a left back. And I think he might end up playing left back, but of course, he is also a centre back as well. Let's talk about some outgoings from Arsenal. Lokonga and Vieira both going to Hamburg in Germany. Already said, obviously, I'm not covering fees, but reportedly, Lokonga is going to be around the 10 million mark, and Vieira is going to be around the 20 million mark. So we're looking, let's just call it an even 30 million euros. And I believe they're only on loan this season, and that payment will be next season. So look, it's fine. These are two players that we spent not an outrageous amount of money on, but I think Vieira was definitely a bit more of a gamble. This was an Arteta deal. He really wanted him, supposedly 40 million, and obviously we're only going to get half of that back, and he didn't really make his mark. But there's no doubt he's a great player. And with Lokonga, by the way, I still think he's quite a tidy player, and I was surprised not to see him maybe go to a Burnley or, a Sunderland or something like that. But fair play. Hamburger have got themselves 2 Arsenal rejects, and we'll see how they get on. They won't be missed, unfortunately. And I will say this, though. I wanted Vieira to succeed purely because of his name. Vieira. Whoa. And then, of course, Kivior, with Hincapié coming in to replace Kivior. He's gone to Porto. That is a done deal. This was reported alongside the Hincapié deal over the last few days, and this concludes our transfer window. There was reports of Zinchenko potentially leaving. That has gone cold. It's done. And by the way, one transfer I haven't included is Isak. I just realised I didn't put Isak in this. Isak has gone to Liverpool, but it hasn't actually been fully announced yet, so we'll see if that actually goes through. Gehi as well. Looks like it's collapsed. Donnarumma to Man City. I don't know how I feel about this one, because Trafford, whilst he's not had the best start at City, we all know that Trafford is probably the future for England in goal. He is going to be an absolutely, well, he already is a fantastic goalkeeper. And now they're just going to bring in Donnarumma as well. It doesn't really make sense to me. Not really a fan of this transfer, but I understand, they've lost Edison. They obviously need another goalkeeper, but going with Donnarumma just surely means that Trafford's now going to be a bench warmer. He must be thinking, what have I done? What have I done? He should have gone to Newcastle, Trafford. He really should have, in my opinion. But big signing for City, and Donnarumma is going to be in the Premier League. Now, this next one is hilarious. I still At this moment in time, don't know what the official word is, but basically, Jackson, obviously, he's fallen out of favour at Chelsea, even though he was a very important player and signed a 27-year contract recently. There was a loan deal on the plate for him to go to Bayern, something ridiculous like 15 million euros for a loan. 15 million euros for the season. And then I think it was an option to buy for somewhere in the region of 80 million. Chelsea are just the best team in the world at selling players. That is obscene. But do you know what? Jackson is a pretty good striker. I just don't think he's an 80 million pound player. I'm sorry. He's just not. But they played a game, picked up an injury to Liam Delap, and wanted to get Jackson to fly back. Jackson had landed and was already with Bayern, about to do his medical, and Chelsea rang up and said, "You need to come back. We're cancelling the deal." But now I'm hearing that his camp, his agent, refused and said, "Well, we're not coming back. We're signing for Bayern." And of course, Bayern would be really in the middle of this. They clearly want Jackson, but legally, there's not much they can do if Chelsea still have the legal rights to the player and he's still under their contract. Really tricky situation, but the latest I've heard is he is still going to be a Bayern player on loan. So, bit of an interesting one to follow. We also have another striker coming to England. This is Muani. I could not find a better quality picture, I'm afraid. But Muani, I did not see this coming. I was sure he was going to end up either Juventus or whatever. He's gone to Tottenham. They now have three strikers, Richarlison, Solanke and Muani, all three of them fighting for the position of their number 9 striker. For me, I think Muani is the better player, but it might take him a little bit of time and a couple of weeks to gel. But this is a good deal for them. I don't know the finances of this one. It came up very late for me, but Muani is a Tottenham player, and it's come out that Frank was basically saying, Thomas Frank was saying, I need a new striker, and one of Richarlison or Solanke needs to go. Richarlison's had a really good start to the season, so maybe he prefers him. Who knows? But Muani coming in will definitely be a big one. And by the way, can I just say it's hilarious how he's holding the shirt just to show the shirt sleeve sponsor. Sorry, Muani. Oh dear. Okay, Bournemouth. Finally, they've got themselves a new centre-back, and they've gone very young here. An 18-year-old from Red Star Belgrade, I think that is. Veliko Milosavljevic. It's a really odd name, and I'm butchering it for sure. This is an interesting one. Bournemouth, they've just lost a lot of their defensive capabilities this season. They've sold a lot of their best players. And honestly, I was expecting them to maybe go with someone that's already a Premier League proven defender. I don't know who that would have been, but to go with an 18-year-old that's unproven at the top level, it's brave. It's very, very brave. But they've just beaten Tottenham. They clearly feel like they don't need to go down the already Premier League proven route. And they've gone with a young player that could grow into another 80 million pound sale. They're very good at doing this now. Maybe 80 million is a bit of a stretch, but that's what clubs like Bournemouth can do these days. Look at Brighton. Brighton are quite literally buying cheap, selling so high, and making a ridiculous amount of money out of the bigger clubs who just don't have either maybe they're just lazy. I don't know, that they're just not capable of finding these young players, or at least not giving them a pathway to then flourish. Because a team like Bournemouth can afford to put in a young player and have them flourish, because worst case, it doesn't quite work out and they're mid-table anyway. You're not going to see that so much with the top clubs, but it's still possible. You look at teams like Arsenal and Chelsea and Liverpool bringing young players through, and Man City as well. So it does still happen. But this will be an interesting move for him, and we'll see how he gets on. Højlund, he has broken the shackles. He's got out of Manchester. Good on you. I really like Højlund, as in the person. The clips I've seen of him, he's a really nice, down-to-earth guy. He signed for, a club that just kill players in recent history, and he has been brutally criticised, and maybe rightly so, because he hasn't been putting in good performances. But I've got a feeling he's going to do very well at Napoli, back in Italy, where he was doing so well before he came to Manchester United. This is a loan deal, a heavy loan fee, I think 8 million or something. How did Chelsea get 15 million for a loan fee? And sorry, but why is any team capable, or even thinking that's okay, that's doable for them. 15 million to loan a player. I mean, you can buy players for less than 15 million that are very good quality, but Højlund, you heard it here first. Top scorer in the Serie A this season. Imagine that. Let's move on. Asensio to Fenerbahce had a really good loan at Villa last season. He made a big difference. Obviously, didn't make it permanent, and now he's gone to Fenerbahce, and it's just crazy. I think it's less than 10 million. I would have put a punt on Asensio for less than 10 mil. Fantastic player, so good. And best of luck to him in Turkey. I just had a feeling he'd end up going to Villa, but clearly they weren't interested. Antony, as well as Højlund, getting out of Manchester. This time it's a permanent deal, no loan. I believe this is one of the highest sell-on fees, though. So it's 28 million euros, reportedly, I think, and a 50% sell-on clause. You never see that. And obviously, Manchester United invested heavily, and it's got to go down as one of the worst signings in footballing history in terms of value for money and what they got from it. Antony, I remember the first game when he scored against Arsenal, and I thought, my God, they've signed a player here. What happened? Oh, I just don't know. He's done very well at Real Betis when he was on loan last season, and now he's got the permanent move. Well done to Antony. Akanji has gone to Inter Milan. I think this is a loan deal with a future option to buy. I'm not 100% sure. That has to be one of the worst Photoshop jobs I've ever seen, by the way. What's going on with his left hand? Very strange. But yeah, I just wanted to say, I think Akanji might go down for me as one of the most underrated signings in recent history. We've just gone from talking about one of the worst. Akanji to Man City, no one really saw it coming. And when it happened, I don't think many people thought much of it. Boy, did he come good for them. He was fantastic. So good for them and so cheap. Was it 15 million? Something like that? Yeah, I rate Akanji very highly. He's a very smart footballer. Juventus got a double deadline day deal. Zagrova and Openda. And by the way, Openda really should have probably wore a shirt or something. Some of the hairiest arms I've ever seen on a footballer, that's for sure. Not too sure on the price here. I'm sure it's quite a lot of money. But Juventus need to bring players in. And they've got themselves a winger and a striker. Good on them. This was a little bit out of nowhere, but Florentino has gone to Burnley. Burnley, for me, are for sure the favourites to finish bottom in the Premier League, and I think a signing like this will really help them. They needed more, actually. I think they probably needed another player or two, but we'll see how they get on. He's a defensive midfielder. He could be really good. And lastly, just like with Burnley, Sunderland obviously trying to stay up this season. They've had probably the best window out of everyone in terms of the quality they've brought in and the money they've spent and the reasoning behind each player. It makes complete sense. Geertruida and also I think Brobbey hasn't been announced yet, but Brobbey could be on his way as well. They signed Gue on loan, but he's gone back to Chelsea. So we'll see if Brobbey gets done or Broby. But Geertruida can play anywhere along the back line. Very versatile player from RB Leipzig. And I think it's about 20 million, 25 million. So it's a really good deal for Sunderland. And my bet is they will absolutely stay up. They've got 2 wins from 3 already. Sunderland are a Premier League team, in my opinion. They should be in the Premier League. So it's great to see. So let me know your thoughts on deadline day. And again, sorry that I haven't maybe got every big deal, but I've talked about some of the main ones for me. And let's see how they all get on in the Premier League this season. And Hincapié, welcome to Arsenal.